All right. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Court Ratnowski, publisher of Yankee T News. This one is going to rock and roll, baby. So you got to stick around. I'm telling you, people, you got to hang in to the end of this. Actually, we have to do this in 2 segments. It's so bad. But first, tonight's clue. Extreme rhetoric. Oh, my goodness. We'll get into that. Meantime, I'm just going to, here, let me just share a couple things that are noteworthy. So from the Greenwich time, I thought this was interesting. We must address working conditions. This is because they're having trouble hiring teachers. Where do they all go? Let me guess. They couldn't stand it anymore with the stupid COVID rules and everything else. But they address it as working conditions, just showing they're incapable of confronting their own failures. There's that. Meantime, this is an important point here for people who follow the stock market. Stock stage, another rally to cap 4th week of gains. So what I'm going to call this, normally when they say you're in a bear market, but you can get a rally that goes up considerably, they call that a relief rally. Well, what we've had over the last few weeks is not a relief rally, but a relief bubble. You already have some commentators saying that the market is overshot in terms of coming back from this recent low. But more importantly, a relief bubble also means that there are worse things ahead, and that is certainly one of the themes tonight. Now, it's the little things sometimes that tell you, you know what, maybe there is a problem. So in the weekend edition of the Financial Times, the mouthpiece for Davos and the World Economic Forum, we have here this little cute title on the front page. Luxury watch prices halved as wealthy Chinese sell collections to stay afloat. Wait a second. Are you telling me that the wealthy Chinese are getting into economic trouble and they're trying to sell their watches? That's just amazing. So, moving on. With that, pay attention to that. So let me use that as a setup for what's really sort of the main theme here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into a lot of trouble economically. So here I'm going to summarize it for you in what I call the path to economic depression. The point being that there is a definite sequence of events that develop, and you'll see them in the news, and you're going to know then that we're moving in that direction. So here's what we have. Of note, credit card debt has ballooned by $46 billion this year, okay? $46 billion. It hasn't been that high in over 20 years. In addition, you have over 280 new credit cards that have been issued. That too is a recent high. Okay, so credit card debt. You're hearing stories now of how people are having to use credit cards to pay the debt on other credit cards, to pay the debt on other credit cards. Once you start down that road, there's basically no coming back. This is people just trying to hold on to what they have. Well, the next sign that something is wrong is car repos. And we did a thing on this a few weeks ago, and others are picking up on this news as well. 1.4 trillion in car loan debt. Okay, let me say it again for emphasis, 1.4 trillion. And the rate at which cars are being repossessed is at a record high. Part of it is because of a bounce back effect from car repos that were delayed in 2021, but keep it in mind. So then the other, after you have car repos beginning to rise, then you have personal foreclosures and bankruptcies. After that, business foreclosures and bankruptcies. And then when you start getting to this point, then you see unemployment kicking up, and then the banks start to tighten their loans. And all of a sudden, the economy starts to freeze up. Now, some of the indicators here that we want to keep in mind, Jamie Dimond, news just came out today, that in a private call with his biggest investors in the bank, that they've decided there's a 40 to 60% risk that either America is going to go into a hard recession or, as he said so euphemistically, something worse. So when he's telling people something like that, you know, from an institution, financial institution that big, you take note. There's something called the Empire Manufacturing Survey for the state of New York. This should give everybody cause for concern. It was projected that the manufacturing index for the state of New York would be up 5%. It was down 41%.
Oh boy.
Okay? That is unbelievable. And that is a huge warning that we're heading for a recession, if not already. Real wages have been declining for the last 16 months. Of course, we know all about inflation. There are stories now of more and more people living in cars. And the part here that's very strange, of course, we talk about how the Chinese and American economies are, quote, intertwined. But the fact that both of them are going down at about the same time, though for similar reasons, is very curious. We should take a more detailed look at that later, but it's something that's unusual. The problem is that the people in China drank the Keynesian Kool-Aid, all right? And now they're, paying the price, and they're finding themselves caught lockstep with the American economy as far as these problems are concerned. Now, part of it is they've created their own problems. If you remember last week, we looked at the money and military timelines for China, so that gives you some background. Okay, so there's that. Moving on. Just a quick word about the primaries. In Connecticut, we are happy. We ran the table almost as far as our candidates are concerned. We are thrilled that Leora Levy is the one that gets to go up against the lizard. And we have Dominic Rapini for Secretary of State. So,
He's great.
Yes, he is. So this is going to be interesting. Okay, I have to say a few things about Mar-a-Lago. Now, today in the news they said that the FBI also stole President Trump's passports, and it's just one more level or layer of desperation by them. But the take-home message here, more than anything else, was this article. Get this. Mike Davis is one of the good guys. He used to clerk for Gorsuch. He's now been hired as a columnist for Newsweek magazine. Who knew? And so he didn't waste any time. So his piece is, Garland and Wray must be impeached for the unconscionable Trump raid. Well, he really should throw in what they did to Giuliani, what they did to Roger Stone, what they did to, and the others, and Peter Navarro, and Flynn. I mean, this, it's long overdue. So yes, they must be impeached, and we're going to talk about how the FBI must be basically dismantled.
I get something.
Yeah.
Article for impeachment for Garland.
Yeah, let's hold on to that thought. All right, now the next thing is of grave concern. I mean, basically, Eric, when we get to the mark of 15, just stop, okay? And we're just going to get to the next part. Okay, this is a grave concern, all right? We have 4, if not more, towns in Mexico along the border which simultaneously, in a coordinated fashion, were attacked by the drug cartels, okay? They attacked Tijuana, Mexicali, Ensenada, Tecate, and some other cities, one of which was on the border with El Paso, Texas. So in other words, what are essentially suburbs of these major American cities, but on the Mexican side, had these terror attacks going on. Now, the point we have this up, you can read it. There's more to follow about this, although it's not really being covered very well. The key point here that's extremely important is that 9 people from the drug cartels were arrested, 4 of whom went to trial in Mexico City almost immediately, brought in on, wait for it, terrorism charges. This is the first time ever that the Mexican government has charged any members of the drug cartels with terrorism, all right? This is new, this is important, it's a big change. There's other stuff behind it, but I just want to alert you to that. All right, so maybe we should stop here and then get ready to do the next one. Okay.
So just tell people to stay tuned.
Sure, and stay tuned. Coming up, more coming.